This is Hayden Davis. He managed to steal over $110 million in just a few hours.
I'm fucking broke! I'm gonna find you! I'm gonna find you, Dennis! I'm gonna find you! You wronged me! I have nothing!
Token launches and everyone's pressing. And the wonderful thing was this, like, oh, somebody got just before us.
But he didn't rob a bank, hack a system, or pull some high-tech heist. No, he did it all through a single meme coin. With just a tweet, thousands of investors rushed in, convinced they were part of something huge. Before anyone knew what was happening, it was already too late. Millions vanished in seconds. But how was a 22-year-old able to pull this off? How did he manipulate an entire market overnight? And most importantly, how did he get away with it? This is the insane story of how Hayden Davis scammed the internet for $110 million. Hayden Davis was just a 22-year-old who figured out how to play the system better than anyone else. Raised in a family that specialized in financial manipulation, his father, Thomas Davis, was previously involved in identity forgery and a pyramid scheme called Liu, which landed him in legal trouble. After serving time, he fled to Barcelona, where the Davis family rebranded as entrepreneurs. This was the foundation of Kelsier Ventures, the company Hayden would later use to orchestrate the LIBRA rug pull. On the surface, Kelsier was just another blockchain company. In reality, it was a calculated operation designed to manipulate markets. It specialized in launching tokens, sniping early buys, controlling liquidity, and orchestrating rug pulls. Hayden quickly realized, in crypto, hype mattered more than real innovation. It wasn't about what the coin did, but what people believed it would do. That belief was the key. Crypto wasn't about technology or innovation. It was about hype and psychology. If he could control the narrative, he could control the money. But Hayden didn't just want to run small-time scams. He wanted to pull off something massive. And then, in February 2025, the perfect opportunity presented itself: Argentina. Argentina's newly elected president, Javier Milei, was a libertarian and a strong supporter of crypto. He even pushed to replace Argentinian peso with the US dollar, so when a token claimed to have his backing, investors took the bait. Libra seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime, a cryptocurrency designed to fuel Argentina's economic revival. It wasn't just another meme coin, it was the future. On February 14th, 2025, Argentinian President Javier Milei tweeted about Libra, calling it a revolutionary token for Argentina's economy. That was all it took. The market exploded. Within minutes, the tweet spread across Twitter, investment forums, and news headlines. This was different. Unlike most meme coins, which were built around internet jokes, this one was being associated with an actual world leader. People believed that this was the first step toward integrating crypto into Argentina's national economy. Investors rushed to buy in, convinced they were getting in early on something historic. And as its hype grew, so did Libra's value. The momentum was unlike anything the market had seen in months. In just a few hours, Libra's market cap soared past $4.4 billion. Investors were going all in. Twitter was flooded with posts from people bragging about their gains, urging others to join before it was too late. Traders were convinced that they were witnessing the birth of the next major government-backed cryptocurrency. But in the background, something far more calculated was happening. While investors believed they were funding Argentina's economic growth, the reality was much bitter. The Libra website had been registered just hours before launch, with no public owner details and a 1-year registration period, suggesting it wasn't meant to last. The project's website promised that 50% of funds raised would go towards small businesses and national development, but there was no proof of how or if this would actually happen. Even worse, the so-called economic funding program was nothing more than a Google form asking for applications. There were no government contracts, no legal agreements, nothing official tying the project to Argentina other than a single tweet, and yet no one questioned it. The fear of missing out was just too strong. Behind the scenes, Hayden Davis and his team had already positioned themselves perfectly. Before Milei's tweet even went live, they had quietly acquired massive amounts of Libra at an extremely low market cap. They weren't investing. They were setting the trap. While the public was buying in, believing they were early, Hayden and his insiders were already in control. They held the supply, manipulated the price, and waited for the perfect moment. At this point, investors had no idea what was about to happen next, and they were about to learn the hard way. As the hype surged, they started selling off their holdings in massive chunks, slowly at first, just enough to avoid immediate suspicion. But once the price hit its peak, the real dump began. According to on-chain data from Bubble Maps, Hayden and his team of insiders cashed out $87.4 million within the first 3 hours. While retail investors were still rushing to buy, Hayden and his team had already extracted their profits, draining the market before most people realized what was happening. And it wasn't just the cash outs that were suspicious. 82% of Libra tokens were controlled by just one cluster of wallets. This meant the market was never truly decentralized. From the start, Hayden and his insiders had total control over price movements and could orchestrate the collapse whenever they wanted. Even more deceptive was how they structured liquidity pools. Instead of selling Libra directly on the market, market, insiders were adding one-sided liquidity pools on Meteora. This allowed them to remove USD in Sol while keeping the illusion of stability. Then, moments later, President Javier deleted his original tweet and said this. That's when everyone realized they had been scammed. Panic spread like wildfire. Investors who had poured millions into Libra suddenly realized something was very wrong. Why would the president of Argentina suddenly distance himself from the very token he had just promoted? At first, many assumed it was just a minor dip, and after all, prices fluctuate all the time in crypto. But then, without warning, the price collapsed. Holders desperately tried to sell, watching in horror as their investments plummeted towards zero. Hayden's plan was simple: sell at the peak and drain the liquidity, leaving nothing behind. Within minutes, the market flooded with sell orders that wiped out all liquidity. And that's when reality hit. It wasn't some random market crash, it was a coordinated, premeditated rug pull. Investors were scrambling to salvage whatever they could, but the reality was that there was nothing left. And just like that, Libra was dead. Investors who had been hyping up Libra just hours earlier were now demanding answers. The cryptocurrency community, known for being volatile at the best of times, went into full meltdown mode. Crypto influencers and YouTubers rushed to cover the scandal. Twitter Spaces discussing the rug pull had thousands of live listeners, all trying to understand how such a massive scam had unfolded right in front of them. Everywhere you looked, Hayden Davis was being called the biggest crypto scammer of the year. For many, Libra was the final straw. Some had been rugged before, but this one hit differently. It wasn't just some anonymous developers pulling the rug. It was a scheme that used the president of Argentina as bait. This level of deception made it feel more personal, more outrageous. As investors kept digging, they discovered something even more disturbing. The same wallets that had been involved in the Libra rug pull were also linked to another meme coin, MELANIA. Yes, as in Melania Trump, wife of United States President Donald Trump. The question now was how many more scams he had already set up. This wasn't a one-time scam. This was a pattern. It was hyped up as a Trump-affiliated token, just as Libra had been falsely linked to the Argentinian government. The project was fake, details were scarce, but that didn't stop investors from jumping in. And just like Libra, the planning and execution of the scam were identical.
Were you part of the MELANIA launch, and was that sniped as well?
I mean, look, I think that, I told you like beforehand before this started. I'm happy to share the truth, but you're asking a question that's it's just, I'll answer, but it's factually going to put me into a lot of danger, which is fine. I'll answer. I was part of it. I think the team did want to snipe it because of how big the snipe was on Trump's.
Before the public even had access, Hayden and his insiders sniped millions of tokens at pre-launch prices. As soon as the price started surging and hype reached its peak, they began offloading their holdings. Then, at the perfect moment, they dumped everything. Every step of the scam followed the same playbook. Buy early, control the supply, pump the hype, then cash out before anyone realizes what's happening. The only difference? This time, Hayden had made a fatal mistake. As the liquidation was happening in real time, Hayden sent a single message that confirmed everything. Yeah fellas, to be honest, we are trying to max extract on this one. There it was. Undeniable proof that this was never a real project. Hayden and his team had no interest in Melania's long-term success. Their only goal was to extract as much money as possible before the entire thing collapsed. People who had defended the coin were now realizing they had been played from the very beginning. Some lost their life savings, believing it was government-backed. Others bought in at the peak, chasing life-changing gains, only to be left with worthless tokens. Before Libra, Hayden had always operated in the shadows. His scams, while profitable, had never attracted enough mainstream attention to put him in real danger. But with Libra, he got greedy. This wasn't just another crypto rug pull. This was a scam that tricked an entire country. By using the president of Argentina as a pawn, Hayden had taken things to a whole new level. For the first time, Hayden Davis wasn't in control of the narrative, and he had no idea what was coming for him. By the time Libra hit its all-time low, Hayden Davis was completely exposed. His name was all over the internet. Blockchain investigators had traced every stolen dollar, and investors were demanding justice. But instead of staying silent, Hayden made a move no one expected. He reached out to CoffeeZilla. CoffeeZilla, known for exposing crypto scams, had already been covering the Libra disaster. But when Hayden personally contacted him, the entire story took an even crazier turn. Hayden wanted to talk. He claimed he wanted to fix things and explain his side of the story. But what was meant to be a defense quickly turned into one of the worst self-incriminations in crypto history. In their private conversation, Hayden proposed something shocking. He wanted to hand over $100 million in stolen funds to CoffeeZilla, asking him to distribute it correctly.
Said, I want to do it alongside you. All I care about is knowing it's in safe hands. I don't mind turning the keys over or adding you to the multisigs. Translation, he wants to hand over his $100 million problem into my control. And I was thinking to myself, of course, hell no.
This wasn't just some empty promise. Hayden was offering to put CoffeeZilla in control of millions of dollars, but CoffeeZilla saw it for what it was, a desperate attempt to shift responsibility. Instead of returning the money directly to investors, Hayden's actual plan was to inject it back into Libra's liquidity pool.
Any funds that I've been able to get back in my possession from all the parties involved, I intend to put right back into the chart and either burn or lock on the liquidity side.
On the surface, it sounded like a solution, but in reality, it would only benefit insiders and those who still held large amounts of the token. But it was clear, Hayden wasn't trying to fix anything, he was trying to clean up his image. If Hayden had any chance of defending himself, he ruined it on camera. When asked about sniping tokens before launch, he admitted to it outright.
Most of the time when we're sniping, we're attempting to avoid other snipers getting in. Right? So whether that's, and by the way, I don't conduct snipes.
This contradicted his past denials and confirmed that he had given himself and his team an unfair advantage before the public could even buy in. Later on Twitter, Dave Portnoy also went on to reveal his involvement.
That launch was coming. Not only did I know that launch was coming, he tried to get me involved, Hayden did, in the launch in what I thought was a good way.
Hayden had tried to bribe Dave with Libra tokens right before launch, but when Dave realized what Hayden was asking of him, 6 million tokens for Dave to keep his mouth shut, he quickly sent it back.
I can't accept coins if you don't fucking let me say you gave me coins and I'm part of the project. So I literally sent the coins back.
After the rug pull, Dave, just like others, lost his 5 million, but unlike others, Hayden had apparently refunded Dave's 5 million out of his own pocket. Even worse, when CoffeeZilla pressed Hayden about the MELANIA coin, he slipped up again.
There was no money made from the MELANIA team on any, we didn't take any liquidity out. Zero.
You said y'all didn't sell any liquidity, but
Didn't swap liquidity. Didn't swap into single-sided. I didn't say there was no money sold. There's a difference between swapping the liquidity and selling liquidations. Those are two different things.
Okay, so y'all swapped, you didn't sell, or the other way around?
No, other way around.
Sold, you didn't swap.
Yeah.
Hayden had no real answer. He insisted the money could be returned, but the funds had already been scattered across different wallets, with some being sent through mixers to hide where they came from. By the end of the interview, Hayden wasn't just exposed. He had given investigators everything they needed to prove it. Was Hayden finally going to face consequences, or would he just walk away with everything? By the time Hayden Davis had made off with 110 million, the damage was done. The crypto world was in chaos, and lawsuits were being discussed. But while people demanded justice, one major question remained. Would Hayden actually face legal consequences? Despite the overwhelming evidence, Hayden had not been arrested or charged. Unlike traditional financial markets, where insider trading is a federal crime, the lack of clear regulations in crypto meant that he might escape prosecution entirely. Some legal experts suggest that his involvement in manipulating liquidity and misleading investors could lead to fraud charges, but without specific laws governing meme coins, there was no immediate action against him. While Hayden appeared to be slipping through the cracks, someone else caught in the fallout wasn't as lucky. After deleting his tweet, Argentinian President Javier Milei distanced himself from the project, claiming he had no involvement. But that didn't stop lawyers in Argentina from filing criminal fraud charges against him. He was accused of being part of an illicit association to criminal fraud, with opposition leaders calling for his impeachment. What started as a crypto scandal had now become a full-blown political crisis. But then, something even worse came to light. Hayden had allegedly bribed Milei's sister to gain influence before Libra's launch. According to reports, Hayden claimed to have sent money to Karina Milei, the president's sister and one of his closest advisors. I send money to his sister and he signs whatever I say and does what I want. Hayden allegedly bragged in leaked messages. Karina, who holds a ministerial level position in the government, was believed to have influenced the president directly to promote Libra. While it remains unclear if money was actually exchanged, the allegation was enough. The Libra rug pull wasn't just one scam, it was a reflection of a much larger problem. Hayden Davis didn't invent market manipulation in crypto, he just exposed how easy it is to get away with. For years, the meme coin market has been an unregulated Wild West where insiders use their early access, liquidity control, and high-field marketing to extract millions from unsuspecting investors. Hayden was just a part of a larger puzzle, and the worst part, nothing is stopping the next one. Despite billions being lost in rug pulls, crypto regulations are still lagging behind. Lawmakers struggle to define what meme coins even are, and until governments step in with clear rules, insiders will keep playing the system. But at some point, investors have to take responsibility too. How many more too good to be true opportunities will people will fall for, because make no mistake, the next big scam is already happening. The real question is, who will be the next Hayden Davis?